Okay, we have one more section before, I shouldn't say section, one more chapter before break. So 3 weeks, and then not a full 3 weeks, probably 2.5 weeks or so. A couple days to review, finals, go away for break. Okay. And this is probably the single most important chapter in the entire class. You'll use this more than anything else that we've covered so far. All right, we'll start with a simple question. On a Tuesday morning, which should have been a Monday morning, but we got hit by snow. Anybody else still without power? Really? That's rough. Okay. How long have you not had power? When did it go out?
2 days ago.
Yeah, house is cold, stuff is spoiling in the fridge.
Yeah, my house smells bad.
Okay. All right. Rest of you. Who else raised their hand? Both of you? I stay warm.
I love it.
Which one?
Rihanna, you're on no power too?
The only time
It's dark in there. All right, so on this Tuesday then, I start with a simple question. What's a ratio? Of?
different, like numbers.
Numbers, one thing to another.
Comparison, like, it can use words only.
I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
I think it can.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
Everybody agree? Say it again.
It can, like,
It's a
be used,
comparison.
you can use words or numbers, and it's like a comparison.
Give me an example.
Yeah, like 1 dog to 2 dogs or something.
1 dog to 2 dogs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, if you're doing like the scale of like of like building for like the drawing, like the sketch, then you would have like a scale of like 1 to 1,000.
1 to 1,000,
Yeah.
like inches to feet.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Can you give me one more example? No, that's it, you're done?
Yeah.
Dogs to dogs and scale drawing. Okay, not bad. Most of the time, we're going to use numbers to compare. So even when we say something like dogs to dogs, we're comparing, I think what he meant is he's comparing the number of dogs to the number of dogs, right? Like 1 dog that's has long hair, 2 dogs that have short hair. 1 dog with only 3 legs, 2 dogs with 4 legs. Okay, good. I've got some examples too. Boys to girls in the classroom, freshmen to seniors. You also said, I like your scale example here. If you look at a map, it's going to convert inches to miles or inches to feet, depending on what you're looking at. All right, so how do we express a ratio? Oh.
To like blank to blank, the ratio between blank and blank.
Using words?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a colon in between the numbers.
Oh, I forgot my other example, wingspan to height. You know what that ratio is? Yeah. You know what your wingspan is? Yeah. Fingertip to fingertip should be the same as your height. Occasionally you'll get people that don't have the same. Yes, sir?
What would happen if they aren't the same?
You're taken out back and shot. I don't know, you got big long gorilla arms, you got stubby little Tyrannosaurus or Rex arms. I mean, most people though, it's pretty close. They don't check for it when you're born or anything. They don't put a tag in your ear if the ratio of your wingspan to your height is the same. Oh God, here comes that kid with the long arms. Or he doesn't sit next to me. Oh, that just made my morning. Thank you, Ian, appreciate it. All right, I don't even remember where we were. What were we talking about? How to express it. So we have using the word TO, two, wingspan, two, height. How else? Then you said, Josie, you said a colon? Okay. Any other ways? Anybody else? Are those going to work for us in a math class? Jack?
Slash,
Also known as?
a dividing line.
Good. Okay, so we're going to use probably a fraction. Those fractions should be simplified. Even if you're comparing 10 clowns to 20 elephants, it should still be reduced to 1 to 2. Because we don't care about the total number, we just care about the ratio. Colon, very good. And the words, 2. 2, 2, 3. We're not going to solve these now, but I'm just going to give you some examples of how we can use, or actually what ratios look like. So maybe we will solve these now. Solve that. Perimeter of rectangle is 60 centimeters. The ratio of the length and the width is 3 to 2. Find the area of the rectangle. Bust out those calculators. You'll need them. If you don't need it for this problem, you'll need them later. You have no idea what you're doing, work it out with your group, but solve that problem.
4 sides. 20.
And I'll give you a hint. Remember on my clown to elephants example,
Yeah.
10 clowns to 20 elephants would still be written as a ratio of 1 to 2.
It just.
So that ratio doesn't tell you the actual number, it just tells you the ratio.
Maybe 6 and 4.
Okay. You just gotta find out by going up 3 to 2. So I use 9 to 6, which is 30.
22. I mean, one has to be a 0.5, right? Maybe?
I got 30.
For what?
9 to 6.
9 to 6. 9 times 6 is not 30.
Perimeter, buddy.
It could be 5 and 12.
No, but it has to be 3 to 2. That's why he's 9 to 6. Yeah. There's one up. And then
1 plus 9 is 18. I got that. 7.
40. Going up.
It's 82.
Okay, we just have to keep it going up. 14 to 10. Wait,
No, no.
12? No.
15.
Yeah, that's
Solve that money.
What? 50.
So you just like add up, so if it's 3
Okay, so
over 2,
18 is
and
what?
do 6 over 4, and then 12 over 2. What? 18 over 2. Yeah, 18 over 12, and then be 21.
Again, don't tell me to solve that.
18 to 12.
Then I'll come back and see if they believe it.
And then
So you kind of like bring it up, so it's like you add it by 5, you add it by Wait, whenever.
Why?
because
No.
you just go up with the like I went up 9 to 6.
So you guess and check. Okay. What if your answers aren't guess and checkable? Suppose one side is 27.1473. Is there another way to do the problem? Okay.
Do the work. Maybe there's like something you're doing 60 and 2. Like, you multiply 60 times 2, then like simplify by 3. And then you get like, I'm tired.
One of the sides goes okay.
Look,
Look, if you multiply 6
yo, we did the problem. I'm gonna need to do more.
E equals 4.
That's one possible triangle with a
So the answer is wrong.
2/3 of 60 is 40.
Okay.
Oh wait, no,
then?
because that would have to be half of that.
Okay, so wait, length has to be like. So the length has to be divisible by 3, and then it needs to be divided by 2 to get the width, right? So wait, so length is 3, right? So it has to be divisible by 3. No, it says the ratio of length and the width is 3 and 2. Right? So length has to be divisible by 3. It's 10.
Yeah, I got it. But I don't know what to do with it.
Well, okay, 10 is one of the sides, and the other side of the 10, then the inch doesn't work.
Did you get 10?
It's like, whatever you try, it doesn't work.
Maybe just like use 60.
All the way around.
It's still 18. The math
And you hit that.
Wait. What if you multiply, so like you get one side 60, right? No, it has to equal 60. So they have to be. Alright.
One side of
So it'd be something divided by 1.
You didn't like their idea?
I'm trying to find a new way, right?
Well, the way that isn't guessing check.
Yeah.
Not inventing it.
120 over.
That would probably be a good move. So you, Tommy, you did guess and check. And you tried, you went from 3 to 2 to 6 to 4.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't like 6 foot.
Right, I know, but then you just did another number, and then you just kept multiplying it by a number. What number was that you multiplied by? Was it 18 and 12? 18 and 12, so that number that you multiplied by was that 3? No, 6. Because 3 times 6 is 18, 2 times 6 is 12. So you multiplied those numbers by some number to get the actual values. Just like if I had 10 clowns to 20 elephants, I have a ratio of 1 to 2, but I actually multiplied that by 10. So you multiply it by some number. No. In math, what's a common term for some number? So can you set up an equation with a variable?
You need an equation?
All right, let's come back together because I think most groups found the answer.
I don't know.
Most groups find the answer.
Well, we're not most groups, are we?
The question is, can we, it works great for this problem. So for instance, Tommy, tell us what you got.
216.
How?
I multiplied the 3 to 2 by 6 to add up.
Well, that's not what you did initially.
Oh,
Take us from the very beginning.
at that,
Okay, so you like,
I did that.
you did this
All right,
first.
there-
Oh, yeah, okay, so I went
Yeah.
from 3 to 2, and then I just went up to like 6 to 4, and then 9 to 6, and until.
12.
It's the same thing.
Just keep.
Okay, all the way up to 18, 12, and that
Okay.
added up to 16.
Beautiful. And most groups did the same thing, yes? You figured, well, if it's a ratio of 3 to 2, like my clown to elephant example, If I told you the ratio of clowns to elephants would be 1 to 2, that's not gonna tell you how many clowns there are. It's not gonna tell you how many elephants there are. But what we know going backwards is that you'd have to multiply those answers by 10. So Tommy kept experimenting with numbers to eventually get to two values that give a perimeter of 60, which is, I'm guessing most of you did, yes? Okay, good. Question? Answer? Statement?
Yes.
First one to raise your hands in the air like you just don't care.
Well, I have.
Go.
Okay, so since it's perimeter, it would be 2 lengths and 2 widths, right? So then you would multiply the 3 and 2 by 2, because there's 2 of the sides. And you would try to make one an x. So you would try to make a variable of x to find one in the ratio. So then you would multiply 3 by 2 and then 2 by 2 and add those together, which is 10. And then you would divide 60 divided by 10, and you would find what one variable would be, and then you would multiply by 3.
Hold on.
I got it already.
Hold on. Come here.
I like that one. Wait, no, I know how you.
I understand.
I can't explain it well.
Okay, so here's the key. He actually, take this. There you go, it won't bite you. Now you can write on the screen. Not yet, though. He actually preempted my next question, and my next question was going to be, how do we do it if it doesn't turn out to be pretty answers? Okay, so initially I picked a perimeter rectangle that worked out nicely so that the guess and check method works. But what if it doesn't work? Okay, now, start over.
Okay.
I'm a visual learner, so I need to see something written on the board. Anybody else with me on that one? Yeah, okay, go ahead. So what you've explained is exactly the correct answer. You just need to explain it so that we all understand what the heck you're talking about.
Okay, so a perimeter has 2 lengths and 2 widths, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, same thing. Okay, and then length, width. Okay.
That's
Okay. Wait, but scratch
Use your
that.
hand to no, use your hand to a rich brace. There you go.
Whoa. Okay. So length and width, and then
Wait. Where's the other length? Okay, good. And the other width. All right, now I'm with you. Good.
so since the ratio portrays length and the width, you would multiply this by 2 because there's 2 sides. Because there's 2 lengths and 2 widths.
We're with you. Yeah,
and then,
everybody good? All right,
and then
we're
it'll
okay
be
so far.
6 and then 4, right?
No.
Yes, it would be 6 and 4.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
you would try to make it into a variable, which would be 6x into 4x. That's how I like to think about it. And then because
Hold on, let us go.
because you try to find what 1 would be. You would just try to find what x would be to put it in the ratio. Yeah, so you would add these two together, which would be 10x, right? 10x equals 60. And then you divide x equals 6. And then since one variable of x is 6,
Let him finish, then you can ask questions.
then what would be 6 times 3? It's 18. And then 6 times 2 is it's 12.
I love the preschool voice though. 6 times 3. 18.
And then
Like we're all babies by your
That's like
Like the
one.
and then you multiply.
I like more.
Multiply what?
Okay.
It's
All right,
too
now
smart.
questions.
It's
No,
too smart to really
Where did you
explain it.
get the 10 and 60 from 6 and 4?
Okay, yeah, so since there's 2 lengths and 2 widths, you multiply that ratio by 2 to make it into 6 and 4 because in a rectangle there's 2 lengths and 2 widths, right?
So what do you multiply by?
And then since the ratio is 6 and 4, you try to find what 1 would be, just 1. And then 1 is 6. Because you would add the ratio together and equal to 10 and then divide it and then do 60 divided by 10. Because the 10 I added 6 and 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, does everybody understand what he just did?
Yeah.
Before we move on, yes or no? Any questions for, yeah, no questions? Yes, you get it. Okay, think about it this way. Let's go back to the clowns and elephants. If I said to you the ratio of clowns to elephants is 1 to 2, do you have any idea how many clowns there are?
No.
No. So we could have 1 clown and 2 elephants. We could have 1,000 clowns, which is a horrific thought, and 2,000 elephants. There's some multiplying factor that gets us to the actual number, yes? Which is exactly what Tommy explained that they did. They just kept changing that value, right? You tried 2, you tried 3, you tried 6, you tried all these other numbers, till eventually we get something that satisfies the conditions. Okay. He happened to call it X. It's that number that you multiply your ratio by to get the actual values. Okay. Now what if it's not a rectangle? What if it's an equilateral triangle?
Then the ratio would be different, wouldn't it?
Erase all that. What if we have 2 equilateral you know what, let's not go there yet. Hold on, I don't want to do that. Let's just leave it as that. Okay? Questions on this one? Are we good? Oh yeah, that deserves it. Whoops. Oh, wrong way. 216. Good. Joseph, by the way, when you solve for X, you got X being 6. What are the units on that number? Centimeters? Okay. Let's try this one.
3 of them.
Yeah, because each side.
Each angle. Well, it equals 180, right? So you add them all up. Six, 9, and 15.
Try not to use guess and check on this
When
one.
you add them all
So I
together,
like
right?
to-
It's gotta be 30. No, 6.
But you already multiplied them by 3, so now you can multiply them by 6.
Wait, no, what? No,
No. Then you multiply the original.
Yeah.
No, they're just sitting.
yeah,
You multiply them, not add them.
Then you multiply them by
Yeah.
so you 6 times 29.
Oh yeah, because
that doesn't add up.
Oh, 12 is 2.
18 and 30.
That doesn't add up either way though, doesn't make it less equal by 80. Yeah. Makes sense, the ratio of the angles is 3.
that's one. No, that doesn't add up. That doesn't add up.
Yeah, that's an equal 180.
Oh, this is the last one. This is the first one.
Keep on. No.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay. All right.
You need something to put there, so.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to help you out. And
Stay out there.
That's the
What if it's not 6? What if it's 7?
what's 6 times 9?
Wait, okay. This is 6.
Wait, so it's 36.
Wait, and then you do one divided by 36.
Wait, no, I got it. It's 36 here, 490. Alright, so you took this and multiplied by the second. Yeah, we did it! It was the second number.
That was actually.
You multiplied these ones.
It's the saying,
Exactly. So we take the x and then multiply by the second number. So we'll get the second number.
yeah, and it was, well,
So after you multiply the original by 3, you have to do it again.
I'm going to do it by 6. Now the x.
These are the original.
No, these are the
okay, so you add 6, and then you multiply 6 by the original, and then you add those up, and they add up to 60, so you need to multiply those by 3, so you don't
Or you can say.
Or you
Okay, so you know. Let me explain. Okay, so you had the 2, 3, 5, right? You multiplied by 3.
Yeah, we got that. So 6 times 8.
Then you got like it's 30 equals 180, right? Then you multiply the 6, 9, 15 by 6.
Oh, did you get it?
Yeah, we got it.
Good. You guys got it?
Yes.
wait,
Okay.
the pencil.
Okay. So you got like the 6, 9, 15, right? And then you solve and get x equals 6.
No, you don't do 15 times 6.
And then you use 6 and you multiply this number by these number.
Alright, let's go back together.
Did you get 180?
No,
And then you get
whatever
this.
x did, you multiply the second.
How is,
No, I put the 6
Yo.
into the original number.
Yeah.
Yo.
And then just need to multiply that.
how is problem number 2 different than problem number 1?
I got it.
Correct. You don't have to multiply by 2. So in Joseph's problem in part 1, or problem number 1, he took the scale factor and doubled it, because in a rectangle we've got a 3x here, a 2x here, 3x here, and 2x there, which is 10x. Problem number 2, we don't have to double it, because we have a 2x, a 3x, and a 5x. What am I doing? A 2x, a 3x, and a 5x. We're talking about angles here, not side lengths. And what do you know about those three values?
Equal 180.
They equal 180. 3x plus 5x plus 2x is 10x. Therefore, your x value is 18. And then to answer the question, you take 18 and multiply it by each of these values to find the angle measures. Okay. What is it? 36, 54, 90?
Oh, we still.
Okay, beautiful.
We got the right answer.
Okay, any problems? Understand the concept. There's this mysterious number that you multiply your ratio by to get the actual numbers for the problem. Okay, and we keep calling it x, you can call it whatever you want, it doesn't matter. But that is the same value for all of the measurements. So notice that in problem number 2, it wasn't like 2x plus 3y plus 5z. It has to be the same value because they're in a ratio. Okay, so if we extend that into something called a proportion, you've actually been using proportions already to solve it, and that is comparing two ratios. This will allow us to find actual numbers. Going back to our clown and elephants. If I said the ratio of clowns to elephants is still 1 to 2, and there's 6 clowns, how many elephants would there be? Sure. Ratio of clowns to elephants is 1 to 2. There's 6 clowns. How many elephants? 12. Easy, yes? Beautiful. And it is just that easy. We're going to set up something called a proportion. Okay. So, for instance, we'll solve these later, so don't bother writing them down. We'll get to them eventually. 7 pencils cost 25 cents. How much would 400,000 pencils cost? Because who doesn't want 400,000 pencils? Ratio of boys to girls. If you extend it into the entire school, how many boys would there be? That kind of thing. Okay, so here's a proportion. Excuse me. This is what's called standard form for a proportion. And there's a reason why they have different colors. A and D are called the extremes. The numbers in the upper left and lower right are called the extremes. The numbers in the lower left and upper right are called the means. I don't know why. They just are. So what can we do with that proportion? Well, I'll tell you one thing we can do. We have a theorem called the means extremes product theorem. me say that again. The means extremes product theorem. You've done that before. You've done that numerous times. What's that known as? Cross multiplying, correct. Oh, yeah. We'll use the term proportional. You can have a proportion that's not true. If it is true, then it's said to be proportional. Okay, so for instance, if we have we think we have a ratio of 1 to 2 clowns to elephants, again, we've got 5 clowns and 13 elephants, then they are not proportional. If your arms are longer than your height, then you are not wingspan proportional when you're taken up after shot. All right, that we talked about already. Cross multiply, no problem. Okay. What else can we do? We can flip that puppy over. Okay. If you have A over B equals C over D, flip them.
Nice.
You hear that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Sometimes I just need to check. Where was I? Oh, flipping both sides over. Okay. Pretty much it follows the rules of algebra. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you need to do to the other side. If I flip over one side, I've got to flip over the other side. Okay, so solve that. How much do 400,000 pencils cost? And to solve this, make sure you set up a proportion. And make sure your answer makes sense. If your answer doesn't make sense, that's probably an indication that you set it up wrong.
Once you do divide by 400,000 and multiply by 0.25,
But it's not a full set.
Yeah, I got 14,000.
that's not right.
It's right.
No, you just, that's how you set it up, but that's not like the final thing.
Yeah, no, that's right.
What's one side? That's one side.
It's like 3.5 pennies right there.
I can afford that.
3.5 pennies.
So you do 400,000 divided by 7.
Oh, actually,
Al, how did you set up your proportion?
7 over 0. 400,000.
Who else set it up this way? Anybody set it up differently?
$142.
You all did it the exact same way? Think you did something different?
I put 0.25 on the top instead of.
So you did 0.25 over 7 equals x over 400,000. Yes?
No, it's 400,000 over X, that's what I did.
So this,
It's what?
oh, I can't erase. 400,000 over x. So think about it this way. To go from Al's setup to your setup, you flip the left side, right?
Oh, yeah. Because oh, yeah.
So if you flip the left side, you gotta flip the right side. So originally, we were correct.
Yeah.
Okay. 0.25 over 7 is equal to x over 400,000. Any other ways?
Is that the right one?
Which one?
Oh, that's the right.
Anna, what do you got?
I cross multiplied.
Wait, we're not solving it, we're just setting up. Any other ways to set it up? Could I do... that?
No.
No. Pencils to cost equals cost to pencils. That doesn't work. Could I do 7 over x is equal to, wait, I didn't want an x there. 7 over 0.25 is equal to x over 400,000. Does that work?
No.
No. Well, that's pencils to cost equals cost to pencils. That doesn't work. 7 over x equals what? What is the correct way to set it up if I start with 7 over x on this side?
400,000 over 25.
Does that work? What's wrong with what I'm setting up?
The X is in the wrong place.
X is in the wrong place. Here I'm comparing pencils to 7 pencils to its cost, but we already know what the cost here is. Okay. Other two work fine. What's the answer? 14,000.
285.7.429.
Okay, but it's money, so we can just round to the hundredths.
86.
Yep. Let me get rid of this mess. $14,285.71.
Yeah.
All right. It's a lot of pencils. This takes forever to erase.
We can't even check if we got the answer right, because it's like really weird decimals.
If you set up your ratio wrong, that's why I said check your answers to see if it makes sense, because you'll get a bizarre answer. All right. Solve that.
Same. Yeah, it does.
11 to 77. Have like more
Maybe
kid.
Three quarters
I guess it seems like an heavy.
Maybe it's not even know that. So what are you asking? Do you round up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's the answer, right?
That's right.
There has to be like
7,750 round.
What?
7,000 or 700?
Part of the human.
you have to
Guys.
do you get 25 boys.
I thought I got 8,500 to 11.
Maybe we should ask this.
I just
Boys times 8,000.
Round down, you round it down.
Yeah.
770.
Divide that by 100.
and then you got 772.
Oh, I did 8,000.
Sorry, buddy, you're out of here.
Tommy, come on, man.
In your head.
All right, what's the problem?
772.72, 72.
The 11 girls over the 10 boys equals 850 over x.
Okay,
Oh, what's the answer?
yeah.
Oh, 772, but there's a decimal, so I don't know.
773.
Oh, we just rounded up? Okay.
But it's,
How do you round?
but you can't round up a kid.
So, all right, so we've got a fractional part of a person,
Yeah.
right?
Bro, amputees, come on.
We've got what is it, 0.72?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got excuse me. Special time in my life. We've got 3/4 of a boy. So what do we do?
Still a boy.
Wheelchair.
I'm sorry, what was that, Al?
He's still a boy in my.
He's still a boy in Al's heart. Okay, so you don't get rid of him. So if you round
Still a
down,
boy's not a boy.
let's say he's missing a leg. So you want to find a leg and stick it on him to make a whole boy?
I mean, if I could find one, yeah. Take him to the back, but I don't think that's
Okay.
I see the fastest leg I knew any day.
The other option would be to take that 3/4 of a boy and say, sorry, you're not a whole boy, get out.
Take him to the back.
That's Pinocchio.
Take him around back, right. Next to the
If he
people,
doesn't have an arm, then
he'd be in company with all those people with the super freaky long
You
arms.
can just borrow one.
He could, yeah, and then he comes back, he's got like a little Tyrannosaurus and all
We're
stuck
not
on
that
his-
noise.
stuck on his wingspan. Look, my wingspan's okay.
I
So
don't want
what,
to.
do you round up or down? Why?
School is on.
So you're just ignoring the fact that it's a human and going with the math rules?
Yeah.
Humans.
Yeah.
But you
I'm just gonna
You
listen to my
can't
heart.
round up, if it's human-wise, you can't round up, unless you have extra pieces, then yeah.
A dedicated is no.
I would just throw it away.
I don't have an answer for you.
Listen to your heart.
What if there's legs?
Listen to your heart. Thank you, Al. There you go. We'll go with that. When you're solving problem number 2, just listen to your heart, kids. Whatever you feel is best for 3/4
Again, a dead kid is no.
of a boy.
Okay.
All right. One more example that removes the component of pencils, boys, clowns, elephants, all the other things we've talked about. It's just a straightforward proportional problem. Solve for y.
Yikes.
Very, very big. So you multiply the 2y plus 4 is equal to 4. Wait, is it distribution or is it just 2y? It's gonna be 2y plus 4. 2y? No, 2y plus 4. Oh, then wouldn't it just be y plus 2? Minus 2. So y plus 4. And minus 2, y, and y.
Oh, and then you actually, oh, and then 3,
1/2. 1/4.
All right, what do we got?
it's 3/6.
Here, what do you have?
1/2 equals 1/2.
What do you mean it doesn't work?
Place off the y and you put y back into
Both
it.
sides by y, then you get 3/2 equals 2.
Multiply both sides by y. Okay,
Might have done this wrong.
okay.
I don't think Y's a boys. I did 3 and then cross multiply y and then
Callie, you're an idiot. Funny idiot, but an idiot nonetheless.
2. Yeah, Al.
I don't need your help, thank
You
you.
know what good idiots we
Go ahead, I'm
think?
sorry. I got distracted.
Multiply 3 times y, so then you get 3y as the denominator, and then you multiply y plus 2 times 2, and then you get 2y plus 4 as the numerator.
Numerator and denominator.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I just multiplied them and then set them equal.
Called? What's that called? Okay, yes, that's true. What kind of math?
An equation.
Distribution.
An equation.
I don't know.
An equation.
Oh, an equation?
Cross multiply. Now, why did I choose this example? Because a common mistake that people make is they don't distribute the 2. So, 3y is equal to 2y plus 4. Therefore, y is equal to 4.
And then
Good.
do you put,
If you don't distribute the 2, then you get y equals 2. This is wrong. Now, how do I know that's right? Because if I plug in 4, I'll get the right answer. 3/6 is the same thing as 2/4. It's a ratio of 1 to 2. If I get 2 and I plug it in, I get 3/4 is equal to 2/2, which is 1, which doesn't work. Okay. You will see some of that. Also, on tonight's homework, because I know where we're going in this chapter, you'll also see some Pythagorean theorem review. Not only solving Pythagorean theorem, but also classifying triangles by acute, obtuse, and right using the variations of Pythagorean theorem.